Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're diving into a topic that's blowing up everywhere, AI and filmmaking.
Yeah, it seems like everyone's talking about it.
We got a ton of questions from you guys, articles, reports, even some podcast snippets, and it seems like the big question is,
Is AI gonna like revolutionize Hollywood or just turn it into a factory for, churning out the same old blockbusters?
right, like, is this the end of creativity as we know it?
Well, that's the million-dollar question, right? But what's so fascinating to me is how AI is, no longer just about like special effects and CGI.
Right?
It's like it's everywhere. Like almost every part of making a movie is being touched by AI now.
Yeah, I mean, I think we all remember, like, that wow moment seeing the dinosaurs in Jurassic Park, right? Or, like, the whole world of Avatar.
Yeah, those were groundbreaking.
Absolutely.
But, AI is like, it's taking us even further into like uncharted territory, Like, you think about de-aging Robert De Niro in The Irishman.
Oh, yeah,
That was impressive. But then you have like the technology they used to actually recreate a deceased actor in Rogue One.
right. That was
That's where things get really interesting, I
really
think.
creepy, too.
Yeah, for sure. And both of those are using like deep learning and machine learning, right?
Right.
But the implications are so different.
Totally.
In The Irishman, you're basically like smoothing out wrinkles, taking off a few years.
Right.
But in Rogue One, you're bringing someone back to life digitally, like literally. To do that, AI is analyzing like massive amounts of data from the actor's past performance.
Wow.
Everything like facial expressions, their voice, mannerisms.
It's a little, I don't know, unsettling.
Yeah, and it's a level of realism we've never seen before.
Yeah.
And that brings up like a ton of ethical questions that I think we should definitely dig into later.
Definitely, definitely. Okay, so AI could make actors look younger, even bring back, stars from the past. But this technology is impacting, like, all of the visual effects, right? Like, I was reading about these things called GANs.
Oh
Are
yeah.
those like robot artists or something?
Not quite robot artists, but pretty close. GAN stands for Generative Adversarial Networks, and it's basically like two AI algorithms that are kind of working together. Like
Okay.
one is generating images and the other one is trying to spot the fakes.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, and they just keep like battling it out until that generated image is basically like indistinguishable from a real photograph.
Wow.
And companies like NVIDIA, they're using GANs to create these crazy realistic environments.
So that's how they're doing it.
Yeah, it's a game changer, truly.
So instead of like building these elaborate sets or like traveling to these crazy locations,
Right.
you can just like have AI create the whole thing.
Exactly. And it's not just about like saving time and money, although that's a huge factor.
Yeah.
But it also gives filmmakers like this power to create, worlds and visual effects that were like impossible before. Like
Right.
imagine like vast alien landscapes or like underwater cities, anything you can dream up, AI can basically, create it
It's wild.
with stunning detail and realism.
Yeah, that's incredible. And speaking of like pushing boundaries, what about AI actually writing scripts? I read about this short film, Sunspring. Is it true that the whole thing was written by an algorithm?
It really was, and it's fascinating. It's super bizarre. The
Yeah.
dialogue, it's often like nonsensical, but there's this strange coherence to it.
Oh, interesting.
Um, and what Sunspring I think shows us is that AI can identify patterns in storytelling, right? It
Mhm.
can like string together scenes and dialogue,
Right.
but it's missing that like depth, that emotional understanding
Right.
that makes a story, truly compelling.
Right. So AI could like technically write a screenplay that works,
Yeah.
but it wouldn't necessarily be good.
Exactly. It might be able to like, come up with a plot beginning, middle, and end,
Right.
but it's not going to capture those nuances of human relationships.
Yeah.
The emotional beats that really resonate with audiences.
So like you mentioned Scriptbook earlier, right? That analyzes successful films
Right.
and identifies trends. It can predict what might be commercially successful.
Yeah.
But it's not going to create like a Citizen Kane.
Exactly. Exactly.
So it seems like the role of the screenwriter is safe for now.
At least for now, but AI is developing so rapidly,
Yeah.
and tools like ChatGPT can generate like different versions of a scene or dialogue in seconds.
Wow, that's crazy.
So some screenwriters are already using these tools like to brainstorm or when they have writer's block, it's really more about how writers adapt and incorporate AI into their process.
Yeah, that makes sense. I wonder if AI will ever be able to crack like the code of humor.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Can you imagine like an algorithm writing a joke that actually makes you laugh out loud?
That is like the holy grail, right?
Yeah.
Because humor is it's so nuanced, so culturally specific. It relies on like shared understanding
Yeah,
and often like a subversion of expectations.
right, right.
That's a tough one for AI to replicate, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we've seen AI create photorealistic images, de-age actors, and even, put together a somewhat coherent script.
Right.
But what about, like, the actors themselves?
Right.
Are we headed toward a world where AI just, like, generates the actors, and we don't need real people anymore?
A lot of people are asking that question,
Yeah.
and the technology behind it is evolving so fast.
Yeah.
Like deepfake technology can already create these like incredibly realistic digital versions of people,
Right.
and there are companies developing like virtual humans
Oh, wow.
that can like move and emote with like astonishing realism.
So you could have, like, a young Marlon Brando.
Exactly. Or like a comedic version of Meryl Streep. I mean,
That's kind of cool.
the possibilities are pretty mind-boggling.
Yeah, it is like having, like, a cast of thousands at your fingertips, right?
Right.
But it also, it makes you wonder about, the future of acting.
Yeah.
Sure, is this a real profession going forward?
Big questions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really does feel like we're opening Pandora's box here.
Yeah.
Like, all these amazing possibilities, but also, like, some potential downsides that are kind of scary.
Right.
We've talked about how AI is impacting actors and visual effects,
Uh-huh.
but what about, like, the people behind the scenes? The editors, the cinematographers, even the directors.
Yeah.
Will they eventually be replaced by algorithms?
Well, it's hard to say for sure what the future holds,
Right.
but I think if we look at how filmmaking technology has evolved over time,
Right.
from the introduction of sound to the rise of CGI,
Huh.
it's always been more about adaptation than replacement.
So you're saying, like, these roles will change, but
Yeah.
they won't necessarily disappear completely.
Exactly, exactly. Like take film editing, for example.
Okay.
You have these AI-powered tools like Adobe Sensei
Right.
that can like analyze hours of footage and automatically cut scenes together
Wow.
based on, certain parameters.
Uh-huh.
It can even like smooth out jump cuts and suggest the best takes.
That's crazy.
But that doesn't mean like human editors are suddenly out of a job.
Right, right. So instead of, like, spending hours and hours meticulously, like, scrubbing through footage,
Right.
they can focus on more creative aspects of editing.
Exactly, exactly. Like things like pacing, emotional impact, building tension.
Right.
Those are all like decisions that require like a human touch,
Yeah.
AI can help with the technical stuff.
Yeah.
But ultimately it's the editor who shapes the story and guides the viewer's emotional journey.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's like having a super-powered assistant, right?
Yeah.
To handle all the tedious tasks, so you can focus on the art of storytelling.
Exactly, precisely. And it's not just editing,
Right.
Imagine like AI tools that can help cinematographers
Oh, pleasure.
plan their shots,
Uh-huh.
adjust lighting, or even like create virtual storyboards
Wow.
in real time.
That's amazing.
Like the possibilities are kind of endless.
Yeah, it's like AI is becoming this collaborative partner
Right.
in the filmmaking process,
Yeah.
augmenting human creativity rather than replacing it.
I think that's a really good way to put it. And it extends to the role of the director as well.
Right.
AI could be used to analyze scripts, to suggest shot compositions,
Okay.
even predict like audience reactions to different scenes.
Wow.
But the director, is still like the captain of the ship, making
Right.
the final decisions and shaping the overall vision.
Yeah, it's almost like AI could give a director, like, a whole new level of insight
Yeah.
and control.
Yeah.
Imagine being able to, like, test different versions of a scene
Right.
and see how audiences respond before you even start shooting.
Yeah, that's already happening in some cases.
Really?
Yeah, like studios are using AI to analyze trailers and marketing materials to predict audience engagement. They can even like generate different versions of a trailer
Oh,
and
wow.
see which one like performs the best.
It's like taking some of the guesswork out of filmmaking.
Yeah.
But doesn't that, like, raise concerns about creativity becoming, like, formulaic.
Right.
If you're just relying on algorithms to tell you what works,
Right.
won't all films start to feel like kind of the same?
That's a valid point. And it's something we need to be mindful of,
Yeah.
There's definitely a danger in relying too heavily on data and algorithms.
Right.
It could stifle originality and lead to like a homogenization of content.
Right.
But I also think AI can be a force for creative exploration.
Okay.
It can help us break free from conventional storytelling
Yeah.
strictures and discover new ways to connect with audiences.
Yeah, it's like anything else, right? Like AI is a tool
Right.
and it can be used for good or bad.
Exactly.
It all comes down to like the intentions of the people using it.
Absolutely. We need to be mindful of the potential pitfalls,
Right.
but also embrace, the exciting possibilities that AI offers.
Yeah.
It's a tool that can help us push the boundaries of what's possible in filmmaking
Right.
and tell stories in ways we never thought possible.
That's great. I'm starting to feel like a lot more optimistic about the future of AI in Hollywood. But
Yeah.
but before we get too carried away here,
Right.
let's not forget about the ethical considerations. We talked about deepfakes earlier,
Yeah.
and the potential for misuse is pretty disturbing.
Yeah, deepfakes are definitely a double-edged sword.
Uh-huh.
They can be used to create incredible visual effects,
Uh-huh.
but also to deceive and manipulate.
Right.
Imagine like a world where you can't tell the difference
Mhm.
between real footage and an AI-generated fake.
That's scary.
It's a chilling thought, and
Yeah.
it has serious implications for our understanding of truth and authenticity.
Yeah, I read that some studios are already using deepfake technology to de-age actors,
Right.
or even recreate deceased performers.
Yeah.
It's fascinating from a technical standpoint, but it also feels a bit like playing God. Like
Yeah.
where do you draw the line?
That's a question that filmmakers and society as a whole
Right.
will need to grapple with.
Yeah.
We need to have like open and honest conversations about the ethical implications of this technology
Oh,
and develop like clear guidelines for its use.
right.
Transparency is key.
Yeah.
Audiences have a right to know
Right.
when they're watching a real actor
Uh-huh.
versus an AI generated creation.
Right. Yeah, transparency is a good starting point, but it also raises questions about like ownership and control.
Right.
If a studio can recreate a deceased actor's likeness,
Right.
who has the rights to that image.
Those are all like complex legal and ethical issues that will need to be worked out.
Yeah.
But I think it's important to remember that AI is ultimately a tool.
Right.
And like any tool, it can be used for good or evil.
Right.
It's up to us as a society to decide how we want to use this technology.
Yeah.
And what kind of future we want to create.
Yeah. Okay. I'm starting to feel a bit overwhelmed by all the potential consequences here.
Yeah.
But it's clear that we can't just like ignore AI and hope it goes away.
Right.
It's here to stay, and it's going to have a profound impact on the way films are made and consumed.
Right. And it's not just about Hollywood.
Yeah.
AI is transforming nearly every industry and aspect of our lives.
Right.
The key is to approach it with a sense of curiosity,
Uh-huh.
critical thinking,
Right.
and a willingness to adapt.
Well said. So we've talked about AI's impact on everything from actors and visual effects
Yeah.
to editors and directors.
Mhm.
We've even touched on some of the ethical dilemmas, but
Right.
I'm curious about like the bigger picture.
Yeah.
Why is this happening now?
Right.
What's driving this rapid integration of AI into filmmaking?
That's a great question, and I think there are several factors at play here.
Yeah.
First, the technology itself has advanced dramatically in recent years.
Right.
Like AI algorithms are becoming more sophisticated and powerful,
Right.
and the cost of computing power is decreasing.
Right.
So this makes it more feasible for filmmakers to experiment with and implement AI tools in their productions.
So it's partly a matter of accessibility.
Exactly. AI is no longer just a tool for big budget Hollywood studios.
Right.
Independent filmmakers and smaller production companies
Right.
now have access to AI-powered software and services that can help them
Yeah.
achieve results that were previously unimaginable.
So that's really interesting because it suggests that AI could actually like democratize filmmaking
Yeah.
and give more people the opportunity to tell their stories.
I think that's a very real possibility.
Yeah.
AI has the potential to level the playing field
Right.
and allow, more diverse voices to be heard.
Uh-huh.
It could also lead to a resurgence of independent filmmaking
Right.
and a wider range of genres and styles.
That's a pretty exciting prospect.
Yeah.
But I also wonder if there's a darker side to this.
Right.
What about the influence of big tech companies?
Mm-hmm.
Are we heading towards a future where a handful of corporations control the entire filmmaking landscape?
That's another valid concern.
Yeah.
Companies like Google, Amazon, Apple,
Right.
they're investing heavily in AI,
Yeah.
and they're all, vying for a piece of the entertainment pie.
Right.
They have like vast amounts of data and resources,
Yeah.
and they could potentially use that to exert influence over what gets made and how it's distributed.
Yeah, it's like the battle for control of the internet is now playing out in Hollywood.
Yeah, it's a complex situation with no easy answers.
Right.
But I think it's important to be aware of the potential for consolidation of power
Uh-huh.
and to support initiatives that promote diversity and independent filmmaking.
So it's a bit of a tightrope walk,
Yeah,
embracing the possibilities of AI
right.
while also being mindful of the potential risks.
Exactly. It's a balancing act,
Yeah.
and it requires, careful consideration and thoughtful dialogue.
Right.
But I believe that AI ultimately has the potential to enrich the art of filmmaking and help us create stories that are more engaging, more thought-provoking,
Yeah.
and more impactful than ever before.
Well, that's a hopeful note to end on.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy to think about how like even our expectations as viewers are changing,
Oh,
Like
yeah.
we're so used to instant gratification now.
Right.
Streaming, on demand, like we want everything right now.
Right now.
And that's got to be impacting filmmaking.
Right. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, this whole culture of like immediacy
Right.
has definitely had a huge influence on the film industry.
Yeah.
Studios are like under pressure to release new content
Mhm.
at a pace we've never seen before.
Right.
And AI can help them keep up with that demand.
Right.
And think about like all those visual effects heavy films that
Yeah.
that dominate the box office.
Right. All the Marvel movies and stuff.
Exactly. And without AI,
Yeah.
those things would take like years to produce
Oh, yeah.
and cost a fortune.
Absolutely. So it's like AI is kind of fueling the whole blockbuster machine.
Yeah, in a way it is.
But does that mean we're sacrificing quality for quantity?
Well, not necessarily, AI can be used to streamline production without sacrificing the artistry, for
Right.
example. It can handle those like really time-consuming repetitive tasks
Right.
like rotoscoping or color grading,
Uh-huh.
which frees up artists and editors to focus on
Yeah.
the finer details and creative choices that really, really elevate a film.
Right. So it's almost like AI is taking care of like the grunt work.
Right.
So that the human artists can focus on the magic.
Exactly. And it's not just about visual effects either.
Right.
AI can also play a role in sound design,
Oh, wow.
music composition,
Mhm.
even marketing and distribution.
So it's really like touching every part of the filmmaking process.
Yeah, every aspect of the ecosystem.
So how do you think this is all going to impact the types of stories that we see on screen?
Right.
Are we going to see like more big budget spectacles,
Right.
fewer like character driven dramas?
It's hard to predict with certainty,
Yeah.
but I think AI actually has the potential to to broaden the range of stories that we see.
Okay.
For one thing, it can help reduce the cost of filmmaking,
Right.
which could open doors for independent filmmakers and smaller productions
Right.
that might not have had the resources
Yeah.
to compete with big studios in the past.
So AI could actually lead to more diversity in
Yeah.
terms of like voices and perspectives?
That's definitely a possibility.
Yeah.
And it could also lead to new genres and styles of filmmaking that we haven't even imagined yet.
Oh, wow.
AI can break free from the constraints of traditional storytelling
Right.
and explore, unconventional narratives.
Like what? What kind of stuff?
Well, think about like interactive films
Okay.
where the viewer's choices actually influence the plot.
Oh, that's cool.
Or virtual reality experiences that blur the line between fiction and reality.
That's mind-blowing.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
it sounds like AI could help usher in a whole new era of cinematic storytelling.
I think that's a very real possibility.
Yeah.
But as with any new technology, there are potential downsides
Right.
that we need to consider.
You're talking about like the ethical implications we discussed earlier.
Yes, and also the potential for job displacement.
Right.
It's important to have open and honest conversations about how we can, mitigate these risks and ensure that AI is used, responsibly and ethically.
Yeah. It feels like we're standing on the edge of a precipice here.
Yeah.
Like there's so much potential, but also so much uncertainty.
That's a great way to put it,
Yeah.
We're entering uncharted territory.
Right.
And it's both exciting and a little bit daunting.
Yeah.
But one thing is certain.
What's that?
AI is going to play a major role in shaping the future of filmmaking.
Well, you've definitely given us a lot to think about
Yeah.
from the incredible visual effects to the potential for new storytelling possibilities
Hmm.
and the ethical challenges that AI presents.
Right.
It's clear that this technology is going to have a profound impact on the way we create and experience film.
It's a fascinating time to be following the film industry,
Yeah.
and I'm excited to see how things unfold.
Me too.
Who knows? Maybe we'll look back on this era as the dawn of a new golden age of cinema.
A golden age powered by AI.
Exactly.
It's a lot to wrap our heads around, but thanks for taking us on this deep dive.
Oh, you're welcome. It's been fun.
It's definitely sparked my curiosity, and I'm sure our listeners will be thinking about these questions long after this episode is over.
Absolutely. The conversation is just beginning.
Right.
And I encourage everyone to stay, engaged and informed as AI continues to evolve.
And who knows, maybe one day we'll be discussing a film that was written, directed, and starring, all AI.
Maybe. Wouldn't that be something?
That would be wild. Until then, thanks for joining us on the deep dive.
Thanks for having me.
PHA 77.